Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video I'm extremely excited to say we are going to be looking at Gold Mythic Clem. Obviously Clementine from the Telltale game is going to be coming into RTS. Now this is what her avatar looks like if you do have this character as your profile picture. Some of these visuals we have actually seen already, because I was given some of these visuals by Scopely a couple of weeks ago. Basically, I previewed a video on her, on the visuals. You can go and check that out first if you so wish. However, we are not going to be reviewing this version of Clementine today, because Clementine is going to be the Mythic Trial reward for the Telltale Allegiance. That does, of course, mean she is going to have a first edition version, which is going to be visually different than the version you see on your screen. This is the first edition version, and it is very different visually, quite traumatic to some of the Telltale fans out there, I know, and we're just going to go over it. On the right hand side you can see visually Clementine looks slightly different than what we saw from the previous version, as all first editions do. First editions are just visual changes, there's no gameplay changes or anything like that, and you can see she's got the radio in her hand, which she did have throughout Season 1 as well. On the left-hand side, there is the trauma that is going to be resurfacing for a lot of people. Pretty brutal indeed. And it's going to be hard to continue now. And we're going to see that every time you go onto Clementine's profile, unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Level 720, limit break 3. She has got 19,965 attack, 12,478 defense, and 17,469 HP. She is a fast character. She is considered a control role character, which is interesting. She is, of course, going to be a gold mythic, and her allegiance, you would think, is going to be Telltale, but it isn't just Telltale. It's Telltale Season 1. I think I'm going to be making some more content on this one going forward. So we'll look at the Adrenaline Rush first, and it is called No Time Left. It is named after one of the episodes in Season 1. I really like that. The recharge rate is 66 AP, which of course is pretty fast. It's going to be a normal for an attack team character. Make 2 attacks of 200% damage, 400% total, against 2 enemies each. Up to 2 enemies get stunned for 2 turns. So we see where the control comes in with the stun. But the first half is pretty much exactly, I believe, like Sandy's Rush. The only main difference here is Clementine is going to be a leader. And that does mean she's going to be completely surrounded by the 1535s. You can get her attacks up to over 100,000 without any issue. And she's just going to be going crazy. Now, remember when these rushes go off with these multi-hits to multiple enemies multiple times? It's really hard to kind of keep track of what's going on. They just basically hit everything. So we're going to try and show you how this is going to work. Okay, so we have got the Adrenaline Rush up here, and I'm not going to be using Clementine as a leader just yet, but we will see the bonuses of what she will get as well from that leader skill later on. I'm going to rush Garrett up the top, and you're going to have to just basically see how the attacks work. We're going to try and explain it afterwards. An attack comes in. Then the second attack comes in on the second enemy, then the second attack on the first enemy, and the second attack on the second enemy. This is how it works on Sandy. Now you do see 2 characters got stunned, but wait, 3 characters got stunned. How did that happen? Well, we're going to see later on in the kit, but I can say that that control role that Clementine has is there for a very, very good reason. So this Adrenaline Rush hits extremely hard, multiple times, lots of control. This is pretty much what I love to see. I love to see it. This is why I like Lydia's Rush, very heavy damage potential, and of course, the control in there as well. Great. And Clementine's much more likely to hit that control because she is a controller. You know, she's going to have precision in her skills. Now, she will effectively do less damage because she has agility, but she makes up for that for the fact that she's going to be in that leader slot and going to be surrounded by 1535 weapons, which is going to boost her back up as well, which is actually awesome. If we look at the upgrades, we can see at grade 3, it gets 100 damage per attack boost. So it goes from 100% damage, which is 200% total, to 200%, which would be 400% total. At grade 5, it gets an upgrade, and it says a single enemy gets stunned for 2 turns. And obviously initially it's just going to do damage, and then it gets the single enemy getting stunned for 2 turns at grade 5, and then at LB2 it gets 2 stun targets. So you can see the progression on where it's very important to get to Clementine. It seems grade 5 and limit break 2 on the Adrenaline Rush are extremely important to get like the sort of like incremental increases to the power on this Adrenaline Rush for sure. I like this Adrenaline Rush a lot. I really liked how Sandy works. She obviously fell off because her damage fell off, but that's not going to be the case for Clementine because she's going to have a lot higher base attack stat. However, you could potentially build her a different way and look at her as more of a controller because she does have significant control in her kit. So you could potentially try and make her a bit more tanky just to have better survivability, and it's going to work that way too. I like the potential here for sure, just based on the Adrenaline Rush. Now, of course, Clementine will have a signature move, and it's another episode. It's In Harm's Way. It has an initial cooldown of turn 1, a cooldown of 0 turns. This does change a little bit on how things will be built with a weapon and stuff like that. We'll get into that later. Number of uses is unlimited. Attack an enemy for 100% damage. This character recovers from all penalties. So this is pretty basic, quite low damage. She is a controller, so I didn't expect this to be some heavy hitting signature move. But it is nice that it does obviously just full cleanse her. I think potentially you would want to see this do control, but I will say, just like you saw with the Adrenaline Rush, there is potential that this can still control somebody based on her passives, which we will get into a little bit later. But the recover from all penalties is nice. Of course, she can't do this if she is dazed, taunted, confused, or stunned. If she's any other control, I think she can do it. If she's impaired, she could do this and obviously cleanse the impair. I'm not actually sure if she would be able to cleanse the impair and gain the AP. What I might do is test this out against a Wang Fa lead who will obviously impair Clementine and then see what happens there. Whether she cleanses it first and then gains the AP. I'm guessing it's not going to be the case. So that's going to be a small issue when it comes to the full cleanse, but it will be able to allow her to rush if she is already full AP on her next turn. Okay, so I'm attacking, and I did defend on my first turn. Obviously, I would be able to use that signature move off of turn 1. So if any sort of leaders or potential controllers come out, which happen at the beginning of a fight, let's say someone, I don't know, does something at the beginning of a fight, like reduces attack or something like that, I could cleanse it straight away, and Clementine will be just back to normal. You can optionally use the signature move as well. If you have got like trauma on your character, you don't have to use the signature move. So there's the bonus. Now I'm going to use it against Wang Fa. You can see she is impaired. I want to see if it cleanses first, then gains the AP. But regardless, it will remove the impair. It is actually going to cleanse first, then get the AP. This is actually much better than I assumed it would be. I assumed that it wouldn't happen in this order. And that is really important, honestly. This actually does make it a lot better than I kind of assumed it would be. So the damage output of this signature move will not be amazing, but obviously she will get all the multipliers from the fact that she's a leader. It will get boosted quite a bit, and there are other parts of her kit which do make this actually better, which we will get into, like I say, in a moment. But I like it. I think it's pretty basic, but it enables you to get the best out of Clementine. And like I said, it is optional. If you have got trauma, you don't have to use it. Because she is an attack team character, that's completely in your hands. When we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 2, it gets -1 to starting cooldown. So it goes from a 3-turn starting cooldown down to a 2-turn starting cooldown. At grade 4, it gets -1 to cooldown. So it goes from a 2-turn cooldown down to a 1-turn cooldown. And then at limit break 1, she gets another starting cooldown reduction. And it goes from 2-turn down to 1-turn. I'd say this is very important. So LB1 is very important. However, LB3 does go to a 0-turn cooldown. And this is important if you have a very specific weapon, because this means then she no longer needs AP on attack to get her rush naturally on turn 3, because she'll be getting 35 AP turn 1, 35 AP turn 2, which is obviously 70, much more than 66. But if she hasn't got it to LB3, she will need AP on attack. So that's just something to be aware of. But otherwise, I think this is just a pretty straightforward signature move. This isn't definitely where all of her power is. I like the Adrenaline Rush. This is just to like keep her in the game and keep her being able to do as much as she can. Where a lot of her power is in her passives. And that would be her mythic abilities. These are just the things that are happening in the background at all times. She is a control character, so she is going to have precision. Enemy resistances are 40% lower against this character. This is actually great because her rush stuns, so they're 40% reduction. And there's characters like Marcus out there who give 100% resist to everybody. It will actually do a flat reduction to their resist, so everyone will have 60% resist, which is much more normal when it comes to like the kind of mods that people could be holding. Now the next one is Survivor's Precision. 50% critical damage multiplier. This is going to be awesome for her Adrenaline Rush. It will work for her signature move and basic attacks too, but I see it being much more influential on that Adrenaline Rush. Obviously, can get that damage quite high, and then potentially, lots of different hits. Now, you did see the extra control in that Adrenaline Rush, and it's because she has a really, really cool passive here. Critical Engagement. When making a critical attack, 60% chance a single enemy gets stunned for 2 turns. This is awesome. This is awesome. Just off that first turn signature move, she can crit it. And I will say, she's going to be critting quite a lot. And she's going to be able to 60% of the time stun somebody. On that second turn when she does her signature move again. And then on that rush, she's going to be hitting 4 attacks. So this means that even if people resist the stun on the rush, they're going to have to resist like 2 or 3 more stun procs. She is just like absolutely stuntastic, basically. If we look at the next passive, you're going to see why this is going to proc quite a lot. And it is a really nice one. A Tale to Remember. At the start of each wave, turn all Telltale Season 1 Allegiance teammates' base critical hit chance to 100% for the first 3 turns of combat. Now, if you know the rules of engagement when it comes to attacking, that generally means the rush turn on turn 3 is going to be included in that. And that includes her Adrenaline Rush, which means she's going to be doing crits definitely. Unless she gets resisted, it will potentially get resisted by tanks. But it does mean you don't have to have the 100% critical weapon on her. And you wouldn't really want to anyway. Because she's a leader, you would want a 1535, increase that damage, and increase just a flat increase to adjacent characters' crit chance. But now, she's got 100% crit chance, and that 1535 is going to add damage. This is really cool, and not just that, the fact that it works with all Telltale characters. So the new Telltale characters that are going to be coming out, which we'll obviously be featuring and previewing, they're all going to get the bonus if Clementine is the leader. So if any tough characters come out, that's guaranteed rampage procs. If any characters come out with specialist skills that require critical hits, that will be guaranteed procs of their specialist skill. This is actually got really cool potential, in my opinion. Okay, so we are here off of turn 1, and I'm going to do that turn 1 signature move on someone who's guaranteed to not be able to block the crit. It is very important to be able to do that if you want to guarantee Clementine's potential. You're going to do it against someone who is not a tank. Will someone get stunned? Yes, and it's brilliant. Do you know why it's brilliant that Romanov gets stunned? Because that's a character that has a 3-turn taunt off of turn 1. Really nice, just a little bit of control there. Very nice indeed. We're just going to defend action on most of these characters. And we're going to see the second turn. I'm going to do the signature move again. And you can see without doing any attacks, I'm going to get my Adrenaline Rush. Are we going to get another stun here? No. Now remember, it is 60% of the time, which means more often than not. But we did get that stun, and it is going to last 2 turns. And then on the third turn, we would obviously have the Adrenaline Rush up. And then we're going to see the Mega Stuns come in. Now, there are definitely characters that can take advantage of this. There is a strong weapon out there where they get benefits of attacking characters that have a stun effect. The fact that Clementine's likely to get a stun effect go off when you do her Adrenaline Rush means you could follow up on certain characters and get those bonus damage outcomes, basically, with a strong character. Now, again, you could see it did proc. It had 4 procs to hit 60%. So it's generally likely to stun 3 on her rush if she does kill 2. So the rush potential here, and even if it doesn't kill anybody, it could potentially stun the entire team for 2 turns because she's just hitting the crits non-stop. So the outcome, regardless of whether it takes down characters or not, seems to be really beneficial for you on an attack team. Now we'll look at the upgrades on these passives. You can see at grade 1, she gets the first half of Survivor's Precision. At grade 2, she gets Precision, and then at grade 3, she gets the second half of Survivor's Precision. Obviously, that's the critical damage multiplier. We didn't really see that there, but any damage output that she's going to have is going to every time it crits, it's going to have bonus crit damage, and that will stack with mods. That should stack with the auxiliary mod as well, and you're going to potentially have big crit damage there. Next one is critical engagement part 1, and that is when making a crit, you get 20% chance to stun an enemy for 2 turns. And at grade 5, you get the first half of A Tale to Remember, and they have a 50% critical hit chance at grade 5. So even at grade 5, the character is going to be, be able to do some parts of her kit. It's just going to have lower chance to actually proc. So I think this isn't too bad. They make it into the limit break upgrades. You can see Precision 2 comes in, and that's a 40% reduction total. The LB1. LB2 is Critical Engagement 2, and it goes up to 60% chance to stun a character. This is actually quite important. And then the last one is going to be A Tale to Remember 2, with that 100% crit chance for the first 3 turns of combat to all Telltale characters. This is obviously really good. It depends on how many Telltale characters you're going to use, but when there are allegiance-wide buffs, I think this does promote heavy usage of those characters being used together, which is actually awesome. So I like her passives a lot. They make a lot of sense for someone who is going to be a control character. They also make quite a lot of sense for someone who's going to be a leader, because she's going to be a leader of the Telltale characters, basically. And that is going to make a lot of sense when it comes to A Tale to Remember as a passive. So I think so far, so good when it comes to Clementine. But let's check out that new leader skill. And here is that leader skill. All teammates get 35% attack. All Telltale Season 1 Allegiance teammates get 100% taunt resistance for the first 3 turns of combat. If you know how these teams are on defense teams right now, taunt is pretty much everywhere, and I think it is pretty much the go-to resist for 99% of people when it comes to the combat mods, just because we have a lot of characters that can do 2 to 3 turn taunts off of the first turns, and this is to combat a lot of those teams, which is going to be very important. All Telltale characters are going to get that bonus, but even if you don't take a Telltale character in, they're going to get, I believe, the highest attack boost that any leader gives as a rainbow lead. I know that NWO has very specific to NWO members, and that's what NWO bonus is just huge damage. But this is going to be much better for everybody. So even if you decide, hey, I don't necessarily want to use a full Telltale team, I want to maybe use one character to get some boosts from her passives and so on and so forth, everybody you use with Clementine as your leader is going to be able to get a big attack bonus versus any other leader in the game. So if we see we have Clementine here as a leader, and she will get 100% taunt resist for that first 3 turns. Characters like Romanov, I think there's Marcus, Skeleton Steve, the list is quite large in terms of that first turn control. But non-Telltale characters will not get it. As you can see, Valkyrie and Shiva unfortunately will not get that bonus, but they will get the 35% attack bonus. But other Telltale characters will get that 100% taunt resist bonus. And who's this that we can see down the bottom? Of course, the more Telltale characters there are, the more characters that will have the taunt resist. Now, as we've seen, Clementine does have a special weapon in her hands, and it is a broken bottle. And the first edition version looks brutal because it is surrounded in barbed wire as well. It has got 40% attack bonus, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, and it has improved bonus HP plus AP. All teammates receive 10% AP and 25 bonus HP at the start of each wave. This is awesome. This is really good because it basically gives you a shield on the damage taken. Awesome. And then because she's going to be a leader, 1535 is absolutely perfect for her because she's getting the bonuses regardless of whether she's used as the leader. She's the only Telltale character used. She'll always get that crit bonus. She's always going to be getting 100% crit chance for the first 3 turns. So this is just very, very nice indeed. I think this is a pretty simple upgrade where you just would upgrade it to 55% attack. However, if you did have her at LB3, you might want to maybe go for a 30% HP bonus in the second slot and then making it 50% attack because you won't actually need to have an AP bonus at LB3. But obviously that's in your hands and you can reset her weapon later if you decide to change it up because it'll always reset to how it is here. So that is Gold Mythic Clementine, the Mythic Trial reward for Telltale Season 1. And I think a lot of people have been waiting for it. I get messages pretty much on the daily. When is Telltale coming? I can't wait for Telltale. Well, here it's coming, guys. Prepare yourselves. It's gonna be a trip for sure. Do tell me your thoughts on Clementine as a character. Telltale Allegiance coming to RTS. Any thoughts you have, leave them in the comments down below. I want to thank you so much for tuning into my video, guys. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.